Is the Gucci foundation Gucci? Yes, I know it's so corny. I couldn't think of a different way to open the video though. I tried a couple different ways, you guys. None of them sounded right. Gucci has really been branching out into makeup, the luxury fashion house. They are all about makeup right now. It seems like every month they're coming out with something new. I've had this foundation sitting on my vanity, waiting to try it for a couple months now, and we're finally gonna try it today. I think I have been like kind of sleeping on it. Spoiler alert. So today we're going to do application, we're gonna cover swatches, and we're gonna do a complete 12-hour wear test to find out if this $68 natural medium finish foundation is worth the coin. If your makeup routine is your favorite ritual, be sure to hit that subscribe button because I am here 3 times a week sharing my beauty habit with you. Let's dive in. How beautiful is this packaging, first of all? And come on, you've got the frosted glass. It is so nice and weighty. This is like a thick glass. You can see at the bottom. It looks really substantial, which I appreciate. And I love this like soft ochre, like pinky ochre shade that they picked for the lid. Gorgeous gold pump. I love that. It comes out a little bit more watery than I expected. It's like runny a little bit. Definitely make sure you shake first. It does not have SPF in it. Usually I notice that more with foundations that do have an SPF. I picked up the shade 120N. This is the lightest shade that they had. At first glance, it looks like it's gonna be a little dark. They had a shade lighter, but it was cooler, and I can't live that pinky life. So I'm primed, prepped, sunscreen on, ready to go. I'm gonna pull you in a little closer and we're going to apply this and see what it does. All right, the first half of my face is done. I'm actually kind of impressed, to be honest. I really like the shade match. It's really good. As long as this does not oxidize, I'm very comfortable, very pleased with this shade. It is definitely a true neutral foundation shade. It buffs out really nicely. This applies beautifully. I mean, it blended out like an absolute dream. It was so easy to blend it out and buff it into the skin. It definitely has a very natural finish. I would honestly describe this to be on the lighter edge of medium. It does definitely feel like you could build it up, but as far as like a medium coverage foundation goes, I feel like this has a little bit less, just a hair less coverage than the Armani Luminous Silk, which I consider to be like just the end all be all of medium coverage, medium weight. Like it's just such a good middle of the road foundation. I think that's why it's my favorite. I can still see freckles, I can still see skin, and it definitely does blur the pores a little bit, definitely does make everything look smoother. As you can see, takes away kind of the redness out of my skin and does exactly what I like a foundation to do, which is just make my skin look like my skin still, but look smoother, more polished, more just like naturally filtered. It does have a hint of fragrance. It's not as fragranced as like Dior, and I think it's probably a touch less fragrance than even Chanel foundation if you've smelled any of those. But if you're super sensitive to fragrance, I would say, again, just stay clear of any foundation that has fragrance in it. For me, I can't do Dior foundations. They're too fragranced, but something like this will not bother me. It's not itching me, it's not stinging my eyes, and the scent has already dissipated since I first put it on, so not upset about that. I'm gonna try it with a sponge on the other side just to see how we like that application. For example, my Armani Luminous Silk, my Holy Grail foundation, my favorite way to apply that one is with a sponge. So let's try it with a sponge. I do tend to get a little lighter coverage with a sponge, so I'm not sure I'm gonna love it since this is a little bit lighter coverage than the Armani, but it is worth trying. All finished. So on the side with the sponge, I do notice that immediately it is a little bit of a more radiant finish using the sponge. Sometimes that dissipates, so we'll see after we put on the rest of my makeup and maybe during the wear test, we'll see if this side maintains that just slight edge in radiance or not. I do notice that I can build it up. I did put a little bit more on, especially like right here where I tend to have some redness along my jawline, and it built up fine. It gave me a little bit more coverage, and actually I think with the sponge sponge, I ended up with just a hair more coverage. It might be because I went in with more product, but that's good to know that you can build it up and it doesn't pull up the foundation out from under it. That can sometimes happen with any kind of liquid or cream product, especially if you're trying to build up coverage with a sponge. Sometimes you end up just pulling up product from underneath rather than adding coverage. That didn't happen here. So I don't know why I'm always so surprised when an expensive foundation turns out to be good. And maybe it's like wishful thinking that it'll be bad, and I can be like, no, don't get this. It's not worth it. But this is actually really nice so far. We will see how it does in the wear test. I'm also going to show you some swatches of this, the palest neutral shade, next to some of my other very fair foundation matches, just so you can see kind of how it compares on the swatch side of it. Do keep in mind though, every shade swatch I'm going to show you matches my skin tone. Just what ends up happening is that the way that things look swatched can be very different from how they actually blend out and meld into the skin. So always good to kind of remember that a swatch or a swipe of product doesn't always necessarily give you the best idea of what is going to work for your skin tone. The rest of my face of makeup is done, and I have to say that so far I actually really love how this foundation looks under makeup, how it looked on its own, and now that I have makeup on, I feel like it's just a really beautiful natural finish. I'm actually really loving it, especially because I am trying makeup products from Zara today. That's the color products I have on today, and I don't think they were like the best products ever, but this face of makeup looks, I think, so much more polished and so much more elevated because the base is really fantastic. I don't throw this word around a lot, but I feel like this is a nearly flawless base. I don't see it sticking to texture anywhere. I don't see any dry spots. I don't see any areas where my skin doesn't look better because I put on this Gucci foundation. So wow, you guys, I think this is just going to become a fan channel for luxury foundations. Just kidding. I don't like Dior luxury foundation. That one's out for me. Not a big fan of Hourglass. So yeah, probably not. But this one, I think this one might really hold up. It's really lovely. If you really like that look of just looking like you just happen to be a fancy lady with perfect skin, that's kind of what I'm always going for. As I say, I want to be the girl that walks into a room and everyone's like, oh my gosh, she always looks so put together. I want to be her. And I feel like this foundation might help me reach my goals. So far, it has a thumbs up from me, but again, we're going to do a wear test. So I will check back in with you guys in 2 hours, 6 hours, and again in 12 hours. See you there. All right, we are 2 hours into wear. You guys, this is so pretty. I feel like 2 hours is where you can always kind of tell how something looks once it's settled in. For me, I always feel like makeup, once it's had like 2 hours to set in, it always looks better. So not surprising that I feel like it looks great. Again, I feel like this color match is really fantastic. I really like it. I love that it's nice and neutral. I love that I can see skin, but I feel like it definitely does look like a very flawless kind of finish. Like I don't see anything standing out to me that looks patchy or streaky. I don't see it breaking up anywhere, not even on my nose where I tend to have some texture. So Gucci, what's up with this? I really like this foundation. I also have to say, like, I really loved that $150 Chanel foundation I tried, and I still do. It looks beautiful, but this might be just as good for $68. So that's more than half the price. You don't get a brush like you did in that one, but still, this is a really good luxury foundation. So for Gucci's first try at luxury foundation, I feel like they did a really fantastic job. All right, so we are at 6.5 hours. Actually, I just ate a lobster roll, so you'll see there's some smudge lipstick. That's because of the lobster roll. I really like this foundation. It looks good still. We don't have any oxidation. This still looks the exact shade that it was before. I know because it's slightly darker than my neck, but it's a match. There's not like any like line of demarcation or anything that looks really unnatural. It's just adding a little extra color into the face. So for years, I used to think I had to match this exactly, and you don't. As long as you know how to blend your foundation out and you have a really close match to your face skin, you don't have to do that. So again, I don't see any places where it's bugging me. I would love to powder right here, but I just don't powder when I do these wear tests because I just want you to see what it looks like without a touch up or anything like that. So I haven't powdered, and I really have to say I love the finish of this. It's very natural, but there's definitely some radiance to it, and I really like that. So this is really like a winner in my book. I'm digging it. We'll see how it looks in 5.5 more hours at the 12-hour mark. You guys, I hate overhead lighting. But we made it. We made it to the end of the day. I think everything still looks really great. I don't love the products on my cheeks. They were from Zara, and I just don't love the way they've worn. They're not the best, but the foundation itself, I like, and I feel like everything looks quite nice. I would have definitely powdered by now, probably just a light bit of layer of powder, especially here on the nose. This is where I tend to lose makeup because I have allergies, so I rub my nose sometimes. So that did happen, but other than that, I'm quite pleased. I feel like it looks really nice, and I lost a little bit here, which is probably because of my lobster roll. All in all, I think this is a really nice foundation, and I'm actually really excited to keep wearing it and keep trying it because I think it just turned out to be really super nice, and I am pretty impressed. So good job, Gucci. If you'd like to see more reviews, be sure to check out my review playlist and let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see me review next. I hope to see you in my next video, and until then, take care of yourself. Bye.